but you left. You did the impossible thing. You got out, you told yourself, and maybe everyone else told you too, that once you were gone, it would finally stop. But it didn't stop. It changed its shape. It moved into text about the kids, into financial sabotage, disguised as oversight, into weaponized court filings, into the way your mutual friends suddenly went quiet, or the specific surgical way that they know exactly how to reach you even now. And the hardest part, almost no one around you can see what is happening. They see two people who couldn't make a relationship work. They probably see conflict, drama. What they don't see is what you feel inside of your body every time the other person's name shows up on your phone. You are not imagining that. And there is a name for this. I am Cheryl Sayre. I'm a licensed psychotherapist, a national board certified forensic mental health evaluator, Florida Supreme Court certified family mediator, and guardian ad litem. I have spent years working inside of these situations, courtrooms, custody disputes, and high conflict cases. And I have seen what happens when someone leaves an abusive relationship and the system fails to recognize that the abuse didn't end. It just went covert. Post separation abuse is the continuation of coercive control after the relationship has legally or physically ended. And it often escalates after you leave, which is something not a lot of people are aware of. And it's not because you did something wrong, because you did something right. You removed yourself from their sphere of direct control. And that is intolerable to someone whose sense of power depends on accessibility and depends on having access to you at all times. So during the relationship, coercive control operates through proximity. They can monitor your behavior, your mood, friendships, finances. They can intervene in real time because they have immediate feedback on whether you're complying or not. And when you leave, that feedback loop, it breaks. And so they build new ones. They use children as conduits. They use shared finances as leverage, weaponize systems, legal, medical, educational, that were designed to help. And they turn those into tools of monitoring and punishment. Research from the University of Melbourne found that in cases involving coercive control, abuse often intensified in the first 2 years post separation, not because the victim provoked it, but because the perpetrator is attempting to reestablish dominance through any available channel. If you left and things got worse before they got better, or if they never got better, that is not a sign that you made the wrong choice. That is a sign of what you were dealing with the entire time. So let me be very specific about the forms that this usually takes, because part of why it's so hard is that it doesn't look like what most people imagine when they hear the word abuse, right? It looks like endless litigation, filing motions, not to win, but to drain your resources, your time, your emotional capacity. This is sometimes called legal abuse or paper abuse, and it is devastatingly effective because the court system is not designed to recognize it. And I cannot explain to you why, because I have seen People file 10 to 15 motions in a 2-week period or 50 motions over 30 days. Why our court system isn't recognizing it, I don't know, but I do know that it happens. And the financial manipulation that comes with it, refusing to pay support, hiding assets, running up shared debts, making sure that you stay financially destabilized because financial instability keeps you dependent and distracted. Another thing is using the children, not co-parenting, counter-parenting, undermining your authority, scheduling conflicts that always seem to fall on your time, interrogating the kids after visits, making you the villain in the story that they're telling to your own children. Then there's reputation destruction, telling mutual friends a version of the story that makes you sound unstable, vindictive, and crazy, quietly poisoning your professional network, making sure that if you ever try to speak up, there is already a narrative in place that discredits you, and monitoring, knowing things they should not know, showing up places that you did not tell them you would be, monitoring through the kids, through shared accounts, through technology that you probably forgot was even linked. This is not a conflict. This is control conducted from a distance through systems and intermediaries designed to achieve the same result. Relationship achieved, keeping you off balance, exhausted, focused entirely on managing them, just like you did in the relationship. And so this becomes so insidious because your body doesn't know that the relationship ended. As long as they have any channel of access, text, email, shared custody, mutual contracts, your nervous system remains in a threat monitoring mode. You are not post relationship, you are post proximity, and those are not the same thing. The nervous system is a pattern completion machine. It doesn't care about legal status, it cares about predictive threat. And when someone has trained your body over months or years that their mood, words, silence, presence can destabilize your entire life, your system doesn't just forget because you signed papers or because you changed your address. You stay hyper vigilant. You brace yourself every time the phone buzzes. You rehearse the conversations that haven't even happened yet. You monitor your own behavior through their imagined eyes, still trying to prevent the next eruption. And here's what makes it even freaking worse: the abuse is now intermittent and unpredictable in new ways. During the relationship, you may have learned the rhythms, when to be careful, when the danger was the highest. Now, the attacks come through official channels, through third parties, through the kids. You can't predict them anymore, not the same way you used to. Your system is never fully off. It never gets to come down and relax. And this is why you are exhausted, why sleep doesn't help, why you can just stay in bed all day on a Sunday and still feel exhausted. This is why you can be legally free and still trapped. Your body is telling the truth about your situation. It knows that you are still being controlled. The control has just changed form. So, one of the things that I teach is the way you relate to others is always a mirror of how you relate to yourself. And this is where post separation abuse does its deepest damage because while they're controlling you through external systems, something is happening internally. You start to control yourself on their behalf. You second guess your parenting decisions, not because you're unsure, but because you're anticipating their criticism. So you soften your communication, not because it's kind, but because you're trying to prevent escalation. You document everything, rehearse everything, manage everything. And somewhere in that management, you lose access to your very own instincts. The relationship with your intimate partner or ex intimate partner, that is R2 in the framework. But post separation abuse does not stay in R2. It spreads like a freaking cancer. It infects your relationship with your children, R4, because you're parenting through a lens of damage control rather than connection. It impacts your relationship with money because financial abuse creates survival mode, a type of thinking that doesn't turn off. It infects your relationship with your body because chronic hypervigilance is exhausting at a cellular level. And most of all, it infects the R1 relationship, which is the one with yourself. Because after long enough, you stop trusting your own perceptions, you stop trusting your own judgment, and usually start to believe that maybe you really are the difficult one. Maybe you really are making this harder than it has to be. That is the entire point. That's what post separation abuse is designed to do, not just control your behavior, but to colonize your self concept. So, what are you going to do now that you have all this information? The first thing, I say this in every video, name it. I know that sounds super simple, but it isn't. When you can accurately name what is happening to you, you stop gaslighting yourself. You stop asking whether you're overreacting. You stop trying to co parent cooperatively with someone who is using co parenting as a weapon. Second, document strategically, not obsessively, strategically. Keep records of communication patterns, financial manipulation, incidents involving the children, date, time, what happened, what was said, not for them, but for yourself and for the professionals who might eventually need to see what the pattern actually looks like. Third, build a team that understands coercive control because not every attorney understands it and not every therapist understands it. Unfortunately, not every therapist even believes in it. So make sure you have someone who really genuinely understands what is going on and what these patterns look like. Okay. And not every mediator or custody evaluator will even know what you're talking about. They may not understand it. You need people who recognize that high conflict divorce is often two difficult people. In this situation, it is one person using the system as an extension of abuse. Fourth, and this one is probably harder, all right? Begin the work of separating your self perception from their narrative. And I can tell you, I've said this before, I have people who have been 30 years removed and they have aha moments and they're like, oh my gosh, because some layer had still been playing in their mind and they thought that they caught it all. And this is why when people say, oh, I'm going to therapy or I'm healing, healing never ends. It is a lifetime work. All of the things they live in you, and you will have those moments. So you have been told a story about who you are by them directly, by the legal system, friends who believed their version, your own nervous system, which has been shaped by years of walking on eggshells. That story is not the truth. That is the residue of control. The work now, the real work is reclaiming the authority to define yourself, to trust your own memory, to trust your own body, to trust that what you lived through was real, even if no one else saw it. That is the beginning of actually leaving. So if you have been living this and didn't have language for it, now you do. Post separation abuse is real. It's documented. It has a name. And the fact that it's invisible to people who haven't lived it does not make it any less true. You're not crazy or dramatic or making this up because you're bitter about the relationship ending. You are responding accurately to a situation that most people just can't see. And the path forward is not to convince them, it's to stop requiring their comprehension to know what you lived. If this helped you at all, please leave a comment, subscribe, share. That is how we move up in the algorithm and we get to help other people by getting the video in front of them. And if you're someone who has lived this, then you know the importance of finding good, solid information that is actually useful and not just 7 signs of something that you already know happened for validation, right? So please share and yeah, and that will help. You will help somebody else because that's what we are here to do. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching.